mirror-reflector sights achieve 11 confirmed kills against 47 fighter attacks. That's a 23.4% hit rate, nearly triple the previous average. November 3rd, Wilhelmshaven mission. 16 confirmed kills, 68 fighter attacks engaged. Hit rate, 23.5%. November 5th, Gelsenkirchen mission. 13 confirmed kills. Hit rate, 21.8%. The mathematical impact transforms bomber survivability. Luftwaffe pilots accustomed to attacking B-17s from the rear with relative impunity suddenly face accurate, sustained defensive fire. German after-action reports note increased effectiveness of Amerikaner tail weapons. Recommend revising approach tactics. Major Hans-Joachim Jobs, a Luftwaffe night fighter ace temporarily assigned to day fighter operations, writes in his combat diary, "The flying fortresses have become significantly more dangerous. Their tail gunners now demonstrate accuracy previously seen only in power turrets. Attacks from the rear quadrant now carry unacceptable risk." The word reaches 8th Air Force headquarters at High Wycombe. On November 18th, Brigadier General Frederick Castle, commander of the 4th Bombardment Wing, arrives at Bassingbourn unannounced. He inspects Romano's tail position personally, examines the gun camera footage, and interviews Romano for 30 minutes. "Sergeant, how did you know this would work?" Romano shrugs. "I didn't, sir, but the old sights definitely didn't work, so I figured anything else might be an improvement." Castle laughs. The first time anyone has laughed about this issue in months. Fair point. He studies the mirror assembly, testing the range of motion. "This can be manufactured at depot level?" "Yes, sir. Sergeant Kellerman has engineering drawings now. Components are mostly salvaged, but we could source proper materials if needed." Castle nods. "I'm authorizing immediate implementation across the 4th Wing. Every B-17 will receive this modification within 30 days. He looks directly at Romano. "Sergeant, you probably saved more American lives than you'll ever know." By December 1943, Romano's mirror-reflector sight system, officially designated the Field Expedient Tailgun Aiming System, Type 1, is installed in over 200 B-17s across multiple bomb groups. The 8th Air Force Commission's Formal Engineering Studies, Boeing's Cheyenne Modification Center, already developing the improved Cheyenne tail turret, incorporates Romano's reflector sight principles into their design. The production Cheyenne turret, which begins appearing on B-17Gs in January 1944, features an N8 reflector sight positioned almost exactly where Romano's salvaged P-47 sight sits in his improvised installation. The impact on bomber crew survival rates proves measurable and significant. For B-17 groups equipped with improved tail sighting systems, tail attack losses decrease by approximately 35% between October 1943 and March 1944. That translates to dozens of bombers, hundreds of lives, saved by a modification one engineering captain initially called illegal and dangerous. Romano continues flying combat missions through February 1944. His personal tally reaches 7 confirmed kills and 4 probables, exceptional for a tail gunner. But more importantly, his innovation spreads through the 8th Air Force, then to the 15th Air Force in Italy, ultimately influencing defensive armament modifications on B-24 Liberators as well. On February 22, 1944, during the Big Week maximum effort against German aircraft production facilities, Romano's bomber takes heavy flak damage over Leipzig. He continues engaging fighters while hydraulic fluid and fuel spray through the tail section. His aircraft crash lands in Belgium. The crew survives. Romano spends the final months of the war in a German POW camp. Michael Romano returns to the United States in May 1945 weighing 127 pounds, 18 pounds lighter than his enlistment weight. The Army Air Forces awards him the Distinguished Flying Cross for extraordinary achievement while participating in aerial flight, and notes his innovative contribution to defensive armament effectiveness. The citation carefully avoids mentioning that his innovation was initially illegal. Romano never seeks publicity. He declines interview requests from military journals. When Boeing engineers invite him to their Seattle facility to discuss the Cheyenne turret development, he politely refuses, saying, "I just made what I needed to survive. Other people turned it into something official." He returns to Pittsburgh, marries his high school sweetheart, and works as a machinist for 37 years. He rarely discusses the war. His children grow up knowing only that their father flew in bombers and fixed some gun sites. But the legacy of his improvised mirror-reflector system extends far beyond his personal modesty. The production B-17G Cheyenne tail turret, incorporating reflector sight principles Romano pioneered, becomes standard equipment on all late-war flying fortresses. Boeing produces 8,680 B-17Gs between August 1943 and April 1945, the vast majority equipped with advanced tailgun sighting systems directly descended from Romano's field modification. The improved tail gunnery effectiveness forces the Luftwaffe to abandon their preferred 6 o'clock attack profile. German fighter tactics shift toward head-on attacks, more dangerous for the fighters, but necessary to avoid improved tail defenses. This tactical change contributes to increasing Luftwaffe fighter losses throughout 1944. Post-war analysis by the U.S. Strategic Bombing Survey quantifies the impact. B-17 groups equipped with improved tailgun sights suffer 32 to 37% fewer tail attack losses compared to earlier model aircraft. Across thousands of bomber missions, that percentage represents approximately 840 aircraft and 8,400 crewmen who survive combat. They statistically should not have survived. The principles Romano pioneered, combining reflector sights with peripheral vision aids and real-time feedback systems, influence post-war defensive armament design. Modern tailgun systems on aircraft like the B-52 Stratofortress employ sophisticated computing sights, but the fundamental concept remains. Give the gunner the clearest possible picture of where his weapons point and where his targets move. In 1983, the 91st Bomb Group Association holds a reunion at Bassingbourn Airfield, now preserved as a historical site. Several tailgunners who flew with Romano's mirror-reflector sights attend. One of them, Gerald Hammond, brings a salvaged mirror bracket he's kept for 40 years. Hammond stands before Romano, now 60 years old, gray-haired, working as a grandfather, and says simply, "Because of you and those mirrors, I came home. My kids exist because you couldn't accept lousy gun sights. Thank you." Romano, uncomfortable with emotion, shrugs and replies, "You would have done the same thing. We all just wanted to survive long enough to go home." But that's where Romano is wrong. Thousands of tailgunners face the same inadequate sights, the same impossible firing solutions, the same terrible casualty rates. Only one of them refused to accept the status quo. Only one of them had the audacity to break regulations, the skill to improvise a solution, and the courage to risk court-martial for the chance to save lives. Michael Romano died in 2003 at age 79. His obituary in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette mentions his military service in a single line: World War II veteran, 8th Air Force. It doesn't mention that he saved thousands of lives with mirrors and salvaged aircraft parts. It doesn't mention that his illegal modification became standard equipment. It doesn't mention that while generals and engineers debated regulations and testing protocols, a 22-year-old factory worker from Pittsburgh solved a problem they couldn't. Because the best innovations don't come from expecting permission. They come from people who refuse to watch others die while waiting for approval. Romano's lesson endures. Sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't following orders. It's knowing when the rules matter less than the lives.